Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, we get to I talked to him a long time ago at the premiere of the first season. He was calling from a hotel room. He had two of his castmates with him. He was like a beat behind in the conversation because of the web connection. But we are we're 2 seasons into this show now. And I am continuing to say to you guys, like I did in today's episode, this is a show you need to watch. The show is Summer House Martha's Vineyard. It airs on Sunday nights. We are 6 episodes into the second season, and it's just fantastic. This group of people gives you good vibes. There's drama, but there's also so many great, just little pieces of human behavior that I think make for good reality television. And I think you've got to invest in shows and casts like these, because when stuff eventually pops off, they're going to have real relationships and you're going to see potential insanity. Now, we're going to talk to one of my favorites from the show today. This man is not only a real estate agent, but he, I think, is voted like sexiest person on Bravo, according to Andy Cohen. But he's so much more than all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, from Summer House Martha's Vineyard, the one, the only, Amir Lancaster. Amir, thanks so much for being here, man.
Ryan, that intro, elite. Top level. Like, I don't think that'll ever be topped.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get better than this, Amir. We can just end this right now. So everybody watch Summer House Martha's Vineyard. No, how are you doing? Are you enjoying doing this show?
Man, I'm having a lot of fun. It's been really interesting to kind of see the relationships flourish and the directions that they're taking now, inside the house and outside. I've gotten really close with a lot of the castmates and housemates. So much so that I split a lot of time in between New York and starting to come here and, really get to know these people outside of the house and create real bonds and real relationships.
Yeah, you're investing in this kind of family that you guys have created. And I think we see that. If you go on any of your guys' social medias, it always seems like you are in each other's lives. And I find that really exciting because that's like, to me, I want to watch real relationships on TV. And we get to see that with you guys. I was thinking about you as a real estate agent, though, and having to sell things. And for people that aren't potentially watching Summer House Martha's Vineyard, how would you sell it to us? Say I've never watched the show. Say somebody's never watched the show. How would you sell Summer House Martha's Vineyard to us?
I would say, if I like my elevator pitch in a way, I would say if you're looking for something that is young, fresh, and everything that reality TV needs right now, Summer House Martha's Vineyard is exactly that. It's a newer cast. It's real relationships, big blow-ups, lots of like bonding and mending even after big blow-ups. It's the next binging thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched this season all along, but then I've been sick this last week. So I rewatched 6 episodes in the last 2 days. And you guys, it really is the easiest, breeziest show to watch. But like, there is enough drama where I get like anxious. Like in this past week's episode, we were having like fights pop off at the end. You have your girlfriend there for the first time, getting to meet everybody. And I was like tense about that. How did you feel having Natalie come into the house and having everybody around her?
I was really excited just because this was her first opportunity to meet everyone in their entirety in a setting that is like super open and inviting. She got the opportunity to meet people, but it was at our premiere party for the season 1.
Yeah.
And it was different circumstances, and we really were unsure, and it was uncharted waters, per se.
Yeah.
But this time she was actually going to be there. She was going to be a part of ultimately my life and my friends. And so I was really excited. And I know a lot of people in the house were really excited, or some of them were really excited.
Well, I mean, it is interesting, and I didn't know if there was trepidation, bringing her in, because you were somebody that everybody, the females especially, were very interested in the house in season 1. And I didn't know if even she was nervous coming in, because it kind of like you're a hot commodity in a sense. Were there conversations that had to go down between you and her before you even signing on to a second season?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like conversations in the sense of like setting boundaries, but it was me just reassuring her like, hey, I know I'm not going to go in this house and make a fool of you, and you're going to have to wonder, what is he doing? Like, you can trust me. And so I think that this was a big step for her, and would be a big step for anyone in a relationship to say, okay, I'm going to trust you to, go on vacation with friends and present yourself in a way that isn't going to, tarnish our relationship.
Well, listen, if Summer House Martha's Vineyard, when you're on hiatus, I want you guys to be on $1 Million Listing New York or another, like you and Natalie, you sell real estate in the big city or something. Well, also there's this great scene with Natalie and you where she lets us know she's above you in real estate. Like she outsells you big time. And it is interesting about what the next step is. And for her, she says to work together. And for you, you say a ring. And it seemed like, I don't know if the edit, I was like, wow, you guys, there's like a lot of different thought processes happening here. Are you guys any closer to a potential engagement, or are you guys just working together right now?
No, we're definitely working towards a potential engagement. I think the way that question was presented, we both didn't know what way to answer it. So she answered it like the very business professional way, and I answered it the very personal way. So we covered both bases, but even leading up to that conversation, we've talked about, what the future holds, whether it's a family, living together, buying a house together, all of those things. And so she was more or less just like, I don't know what answer to give you. And we would have, if I would have given the opposite answer, I think she would have given the engagement answer. So we were just making sure that everyone knows everything about us because we're an open book.
Yeah. Who is the person in the house that you have warmed up to the most in 2 seasons, where you started one place and by the end of the second season, you were like, wow, I really love this person in a way that I couldn't have predicted?
That's really tough because I would say it's almost like a 3-way tie. It would be a 3-way tie between Preston, Alex, and Bria. But I would say if I had to, you're like, Amir, you got to pick one, you got to save one. I would say Preston has been kind of a really big lifeline to me and has really kept my head on straight for a really long period of time. And the other relationships are starting to, add up to that.
I really love Preston, and him sharing about his dad this season was very moving, and he just got engaged. I love his whole thing. Bria is a character. Milo the dog, her boyfriend just got back. Is her boyfriend any better of a dancer this season than he was last season? It seems already seems very similar.
Yeah, I think honestly he doubled down and just got worse. But it honestly is so bad that it's good and it's entertaining because you'd like to watch it. It's just, it's a lot of gyrating and a lot of movement that isn't really cohesive. And so, but it's Simon.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. And, this episode too, we finally, we talked about it earlier in the season, but Mariah from last season, she comes back and you got kind of entangled in this mess. And a lot of people were, did you and Mariah need to work this out? Did you, where did you guys, that was kind of confusing to me because I feel like Mariah had made her own bed in a lot of ways, but you really got, there was a lot of finger pointing at you in a way because of laundry, because of dog laundry. Where do you stand with Mariah right now? I thought this was so silly, but it was interesting how it kind of had a life of its own.
Man, the way it is silly and the way that people, and even Mariah herself have just doubled down on this is crazy because it was an accident. And it was just honest to God, good intentions. Just, I was trying to make sure that the house had towels because no one cleans in that house. And I think that's very evident. Yeah. Especially as you watch this season, I'm constantly in the kitchen making sure the dishes, so we have cups and plates. But, me and Mariah we're good. We are friends in the sense of we can share the same space. We can check in on each other and say, hey, how's life? We can do all that stuff, but it's not like we were best of friends. We didn't even know each other, and that is okay. And so I think we're just more along the lines of, hey, let's keep the peace. And, I want you to apologize for your part in the laundry gate, and I want to be able to move on. And I was like, if you want an apology, here's an apology.
I love that as grown people, we even have things like Laundrygate. That's why I love reality television, that anything can be a storyline. And the other great thing, we also have Phil that comes back. And Phil, if you guys don't watch the show, what's brilliant is Phil's big storyline last season was that he took a number 2 in somebody else's bathroom and didn't flush. And this seems like a really obvious thing to always flush, especially if there's a number 2 involved. But this man was like, it was like a dick measuring contest or something. And he had real attitude. And then this season was, should Phil be able to come back into the house? So we finally get Phil there and he has to kind of apologize, but it was great. Like even when he was trying to apologize, you were trying to speak and he was stepping all over you and you had to say, hey man, can I actually get a sentence out?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I just felt like it was kind of a respect thing. And I knew he was uncomfortable. I mean, he's got to apologize to 4 grown men about a situation, and that can make someone uncomfortable and make them kind of like, kind of word vomit. But I was like, hey, I'm trying to let you know that like, as long as we're peaceful, like we're friendly. And it kept happening. And so I was like, okay, at this point, I'm not sure if you're meaning to do this or not, but it's really pissing me off and I don't even want to be friendly anymore.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. And I'm curious to see, do we have, I mean, I don't know how many more episodes of the season there are, but is Phil in this next week's episode? Do we get to see him pop back up? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this. So no,
he's on the island. So I'm sure it's a really small island and it's pretty hard not to run into people.
Yeah, of course. Also with your girlfriend, I'm assuming we get to see more of her. And if I read like through the cast bios, it also says there potentially might be some, I don't know if an altercation is the word, but something is potentially going to happen with Natalie. Is there anything that you can tease for the audience with that?
Yeah, I would say the one thing that the audience would need to know is regardless of what happens, whether it be Laundrygate or what's to come, we always have really good intentions and we don't mean to stir the pot or poke the beehive's nest or whatever the phrase is. But we somehow end up doing bad with the good. And so it's kind of one of those things where you've got to look at it from both sides of the fence and realize that, again, we're just trying to do the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing is wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm very curious what that actually is going to mean and what that's another reason to tune in, folks. The other character that I find fascinating and where we ended this week's episode, Summer. Summer seems to be having one of the worst summers of all time. And Summer seems like she is going through something. And like even in her talking head, it's like your heart goes out to her, but I don't know exactly what she's going through because we start off this season where, we found out she had a little bit of a situationship with Alex. There's something going on there that obviously isn't going on anymore. But even in this last episode, she's fighting with like there's just conversations taking place. She's upset at Bria and then she says, I'm drunk. I don't know what I was doing. What did you take from actually being there in person? Like when you're just around somebody, what was your take on that situation of what she potentially was going through?
I think Summer at the end of the day was there for a lot of people and she might have not felt like people were there for her and she wasn't like expressing herself and sharing those heavy moments that were bogging her down. She was just kind of taking on everyone else's baggage. And so at a point, like she was just like, I'm done. Everything in my life is drowning me. And then I'm also being drowned by everyone else's stuff. And it kind of just like boiled over. It simmered to the top or boiled over. Words are very hard. And so
I do it every day. It's like the worst, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you just kind of see like, the summer get to her in the sense of we have really, fun parties and sometimes, people don't know their limits and drunken words are sober thoughts. And so if you're going through things in your own personal life, the second that Henny hits the lips, then boy, it's over.
The other thing that you guys do great, which I actually love about the initial Summer House as well, is you're hitting these theme nights out of the park. Like the theme nights out of the park. And I always think about it is like, do you guys get into that as much as it seems like you do? Because it is so fun to watch when you guys actually really get into it. Or is it kind of annoying? Like, gotta go dress up again.
No, some of them, like the ones that we actually care about, we're in it. Like we have spent our own money and dollars to get costumes and get, decor and everything. And then there's some of them where we just kind of like slap them together and we do a theme night. And so it's most of the time we're really invested, but sometimes we're just kind of like, are we just doing this to do this? Like, I didn't really plan a look for this. It just kind of sounds ridiculous.
Wait, which one sounded the most ridiculous to you this summer?
This summer, it didn't make it in, but we had a really hard time showing up for Apollo night. Even though it was a really cool idea and it ended up being a really fun night, a lot of us were unsure of like doing a talent show.
Yeah.
And so Noelle actually had to rile us together and be like, hey, I would really love for you guys to be able to show up for me the way that I'm showing up for you guys on these nights. And it would mean a lot if you could like actually put on for Apollo night and not just show up with some BS. And so we did that. We all sat down, we figured out what our, presentations were going to be, and we showed up for it.
Are you allowed to share what your presentation would have been, even though we're not going to see it?
No, my Apollo night was the talent show.
Sorry, I thought you meant
the poem.
Okay. Yeah. So the Freaknik thing I thought was great with Jordan. It's great that like you do get to learn a little bit of history on top of the insanity of the costumes. Do you watch any of the other shows on Bravo that aren't Summer House, Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, I watch Vanderpump. I watch Summer House. I watch Southern Hospitality. Excuse me. That's about my sphere.
I was just wondering, when you watch those shows, do you take mental notes of what to do and what not to do? Like, are you making a mental note of like never participate in a scandal, never potentially get engaged in the Summer House because that potentially could get like, do you live in fear of these things? Because I would watch even this season of Summer House, and sometimes like as an audience member, I am loving it so much, but then I think about what you guys must go through about sharing your real lives. Is there something that you get really scared of while you watch these seasons?
No, what I get scared of is I don't know what they went through and what brought them to their endpoints or what brought them there. But I figured like not cheating is like pretty common.
It's a good rule of thumb, right? That's a good rule of thumb.
I would never do that. And then in terms of like an engagement, like people are gonna like it, people aren't gonna like it, so it doesn't really matter. I'm more or less taking the mental note of like how not to be an idiot on my side, because like I like to have fun. I'm really light, really airy. Sometimes people say a little too light, too airy. And so I'm more or less just like, okay, when I am being me, like let's just make sure that I'm not like pissing people off in the process.
Well, that's what I was thinking about too, about being a man on Bravo, is that it really, like a lot of us, and I'll include myself, even though I'm not on Bravo, we're idiots. Like we behave like buffoons. We're thinking all the time with the wrong ways to think, like all of these things. And I think Bravo really shows that, like highlights that. And even in Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, you'll have the women upstairs like going, like fighting, like we saw last week with Summer, and the guys will be downstairs in their bunk beds, just like pushing each other under the bed, just being idiot. Yeah, exactly. And it is so interesting. But at the same time, we make some of the dumbest mistakes ever. How important is it to you? Because you do seem to be somebody that wants to be a good man, somebody that's trying to improve themselves at all times, even without reality TV. It seems like that's where you were headed. What is the temptation, though, when you get a little bit of celebrity in the mix? When you go to places like BravoCon and you have people throwing themselves out at you, how much do you have to check yourself in your daily existence to be a good man?
Man, I don't really have to check myself at all, just because, there's two things that are really important and have rooted me. It's the way my mother has raised me, and then the fact that I was kind of bullied growing up. And so I've always had this like chip on my shoulder and like humbleness and humility. And so those two things coupled together, I just kind of view myself as a person. And if someone recognizes me on the street, I say hi, I smile, I get their name. I ask them if they're enjoying the show, what they would like to see. Like I'm a person just as much as everyone else is. And it's nice to be able to know that people can, connect with me. And I want people to look forward to seeing me on the streets.
Yeah. Well, speaking of seeing people on the streets, you recently saw Mr. Andy Cohen on the streets, along with West, I believe, from Summer House. I mean, were you just out there trying to stalk Andy? What was that? Was that truly a true New York bumpin'?
That was true. Did not realize how small New York was, because I give my friends and castmates shit all the time for them just bumping into other castmates from other shows. And I'm like, it's New York. That's quite literally impossible. And then it happened to me, and every single one of them hit me up and was like, New York's a big place, huh? And I'm like, no, for real. Like, I swear I did not mean for this to happen. But that was kind of like one of the best bump-ins of like the Bravo collab right now. It's like me and Wes are grabbing lunch, catching up, and then the man who loves both of us is there.
Oh, Andy had a smile like he was a 5-year-old. He had the biggest smile. We were cracking up when we saw that. It was amazing. Well, speaking of Wes, though, he's like on his first season of Summer House. He's killing it. Everybody loves this guy. Was there any advice that he asked from you? Like saying, like, how do I go through this? What are those conversations you have with other Bravo Lebs?
The conversations that I've had with Wes so far are, man, just keep being you, keep being the authentic you. I think that's what a lot of like reality TV and viewers are craving right now, is like people like me and you, where it's like, you know, we're good times, we're good vibes. We'll have those hard hitting conversations, but at the same time, we have personality, and we're not just two dudes that think they're too cool and hold up walls. And so while it might be hard to be a guy that has personality and is just outgoing and willing to kiss a homie on the cheek, you just be you, because there's someone out there that needs that.
What is the best advice you've gotten in life from people? Like, are there like things that you live by on the daily?
Yeah, I would say the best advice that I've gotten personally is taking care. Like, I need to take better care of myself. I'm someone who.
Oh yeah, because you're out of shape and you're whole. Yeah, I got it.
Nah. I move at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I don't do a lot of like self-care. Like, I don't take care of my mental. I don't take the time to recover ever. And so typically you see it on my face and you hear it in my voice, and I just like am quick to react. And that's kind of like what the Summer House does at certain points, is like, I think last season and this season when I blow up, it's kind of about the same point, because I'm moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to take care of everyone in the house, have a good time, do all these different things. And then finally my mental just snaps, and I'm just like, I'm going to say what's on my chest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of that, though, then when you have all of our voices thrown into the mix, you have schlubs like me talking about the show every week saying, oh, this, and I can't believe this person did this. Is there something that somebody's pointed out to you, like a viewer, that you're like, God, I didn't even think about that, but they're right? Like, is it hard to have that many voices as well come at you about your behavior? And you, by the way, that's hard for you, because I don't feel like you're that out of pocket a lot.
Yeah.
But is there anything that stands out to you?
No, I mean, everyone just believes that I should be more diligent about speaking or thinking before I speak. Look, even right there. But at the same time, like, that's just me, and I'm gonna say what I want. I don't like to be guarded. Like, if you think I'm a himbo for that, then I'm a himbo. But I'm also like pretty well read. I'm put together. Like, I just sometimes don't think when I'm talking, or care to retain certain pieces of information, or learn how to pronounce a word. I just don't.
No,
care.
I think Alex is a himbo, not you.
Man, Alex is.
I'm joking.
Alex is great, but
no, Alex is great. It is just funny the what he got thrown with, and then also I love the new cast member Noelle. What did you come away from the season feeling about her?
Noelle is the ray of sunshine and just like comedic relief that I needed in the house. Because she is so like, when I tell you, like, just being around her just makes you smile and have fun and just like genuinely feel good about like your presence, not her presence, your presence. She is someone that you just want to surround yourself with and then protect at the same time, because like you see someone with that kind of light, and you know that some people just want to like put that out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that was my biggest thing to her coming into the house, is when I was giving her advice, I was like, I need you to look after you, because at the end of the day, like, you have something very special to offer this house, and I don't want to see anyone take that away.
Well, I mean, just even her caring so much about Summer in the last episode, like, Summer, no, like running after Summer, and just I was like, oh my God, her heart's like really in this. Like, she is like super invested, and as you're right, it's like, don't burn yourself out. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
And it gets tough to have that big of a heart, because eventually like someone steps on it, and you kind of like, it just takes one. It takes one for you to start moving and acting a little bit differently. And so I just wouldn't want that to happen to her without and losing that authenticity and that big heart, because the house needs it. I mean, the way that we fight and the things that we fight about, it's not petty shit. Like, it's some things are like hard hitting and like, potentially character jeopardizing. And so if it comes your way and all of a sudden you change the way that you carry yourself, you're not going to have fun.
Yeah. As we start winding down here, and thank you so much again for doing this for all of us, I really implore people to watch this show. You can stream the first season on Peacock, 6 episodes. You can catch up before the end of the season right now. We recently got the good news that you finally are going to have a reunion. Is this something that you are looking forward to, or is this something you're like, let's see what happens?
Man, it's a little bit of both. It's kind of like watching a really fast car crash and you're kind of like, oh, I gotta look, but I don't want to look. But it's just unfortunate because that fast car crash that I'm watching, I'm in the passenger seat of.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And by the way, you keep saying, like, I don't think before I speak. Don't think before you speak at a reunion. We want that vibe. We want that energy where you just say, and then you afterwards you go, oh, did I say that? That's what we want.
Yeah, I'm quite aware of how everyone wants me to self-sabotage, and
it's just you speak your truth. Speak your truth. A couple of small offhanded things. If you see Nick say he really did look great with the full body tattoos, I think that's the look to go with in the future. All the women seem to really enjoy the full body tattoos. So good for Nick. Also, you seem like one of the nicest, most genuine people on Bravo right now. Is there anything negative that you can say about any of your cast members to rile them up right now?
Yeah, I've got a couple of good words. Some people need to own the fact that they are not aware of their body position and where their hands may or may not be, and that's okay. It's not an attack on you, but I'm just be aware of it and say I'm sorry. Like, own it, move on.
So we can pretty much assume who that might be about, and
you think, but it might come from different directions too. So we'll see at the reunion.
Okay, well that's a great tease for the reunion. Also, I'd like to ask everybody this question: aside from Bravo, what are you watching, reading, and listening to right now?
Watching right now, super invested in Summer House just because I love watching my boy Wes just win.
He's got to be careful with Sierra though. He's starting to. I saw the preview for this week, and he might be talking to other girls, and I'm just scared for him. You don't talk to other girls when you're dating Sierra. That's all I would say. I
mean, he said he was his girlfriend. It's muddy. Like he's starting to do a bad job at like keeping the waters clear. And so I think he's got his work cut out for him there. Reading, I'm actually reading a book about ADHD because I found out that I have like severe adult ADHD. It's called Driven to Distraction. And then what was the other question?
What are you listening to?
Oh, listening to like podcasts or music?
No, I mean to give you podcasts, music. Like what album you listen to? Did you listen to the Kendrick disc? Did you listen to the?
Dude, I am all over the Kendrick, J. Cole.
Did you listen to the the Drake response last night that he released?
Not yet.
Oh my God, he destroyed Drake. It's like a 6-minute. Like he took 17 days to respond to Drake, and like you got to listen to it like 3 or 4 times to catch all of it, but it is so good.
That and then there's also this one song called Bar Song that I've been listening. It's like a black country artist dropped it, and it's really popular on socials right now. But,
so Bar Song, check that out.
Yeah, it's literally called a Bar Song, and then I'm listening to. Yeah, and that's it.
No, it's great. I mean, and if we want to buy a house in Austin, that's where you sell houses, correct?
Yes, sir. Real estate agent in Austin, Texas.
Real estate agent in Austin. So if you're in Austin and you want to get a house from him or his girlfriend does sell multi-million dollar homes. He's on the lower end, but I think he's still probably worth it as a real estate agent. And he's also worth it as a Bravo celebrity. Like I said, one of the most solid guys that Bravo has right now. But Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, Sunday night. Catch up. We want this to have a 3rd season. We need this to have a 3rd season. Amir Lancaster, thank you so much. It's so great to talk to you again. And I'm just so happy for all your success, man.
Man, thank you, Ryan. Always a pleasure catching